If you're looking for your new digital piano, you might be confused because there are hundreds of different options and opinions that contradict each other, and it's really hard to get hold of the hardware these days. And you may also have doubts what is really important for you. You know, I've spent months on forums, YouTube, and on the phone with people from music stores to make my final decision. And I want to share my journey with you so you may find something useful for yourself. I'll tell you about my 3 things. First of all, how I formed my preferences and priorities in the first place. Second, my shopping experience. And the last, third part will be about the decision and my thoughts after 5 months of playing. Before I start, I want to say that this is not a sponsored video, and all my opinions, of course, are purely subjective. And by the way, welcome to the first video on this channel. Let's start. What my ideal digital piano was. But after playing on my Casio CDP 110 for over a year, I decided it was time to have a serious upgrade. I played regularly and I realized I would like to have something more because I will play in the long run. So I was serious about playing on my piano. I liked classics, but also, and probably more, famous songs like The Entertainer, Amazing Grace or Bella Ciao. I was looking to spend something between $1,500 to $2,500. So I went out to do the shopping, but before that, I wanted to write down my priorities. My first priority was the best piano sound patches available, the most realistic and ear-pleasing. The second, of course, was the great keyboard feel. I wanted to be sure that I have a connection with the instrument. A wide range of patches is something that I was interested in, so I wanted to have a large bank of samples and I wanted to have an opportunity to add them in the future because I didn't want to be limited. Okay, and nice design was probably something that was really high on my list. And I wanted to be able to have some kind of sound design and options to have 2 layers, splits and as well, because I like the combination of, for example, piano and strings. It just sounds wonderful. And most of the keyboards have it these days. Portability was potentially a plus, although I wasn't really planning on any gigs, on having any gigs. So that's something, that wasn't really important for me. After listening to many YouTube videos, mainly on Anderton's TV starring Jack and his guests, I was leaning towards Kurzweil K2700, or maybe Nord Grand and also Nord Piano. So I thought these models could be something that I would be interested in. I was also thinking about Yamaha YC88 and Kawai MP11 SE was also on my list. So let's jump into part 2, my shopping experience. So my first shopping experience was a huge disappointment. When I went to the store, I started playing Kurzweil K2700. I appreciated its amazing user interface and a huge library. It was very easy to use and so on, but the keyboard was only okay, and it was positioned at the weird angle. Also, the sound in my headphones was quiet. It really lacked amplification. Then I tried Nord Grand. The keyboard was much better, but very noisy, and there were similar issues with the sound. I didn't understand why. It didn't sound like online. One of the reasons maybe was that there was lacking this external audio interface that you should connect between the headphones and the instrument. I tried Yamaha P525. The sound was the best out of these keyboards. It's not a cheap keyboard, but it sounded good and the action was much better. But I was missing something. Okay, and then I checked Nord Piano 5 and it was really bad. I just didn't like the keyboard. I know this virtual hammer keyboard is fine for most people, especially gigging musicians, but it wasn't good for me, okay? I was expecting something different, especially from the device, from the hardware that has a piano in the name. So to sum up my disappointment, after over an hour, I said to the salesperson that I may be looking in the wrong direction. And when I was about to leave, he showed me one instrument that struck my attention. It was Roland LX-5. I wasn't really into classical music so much, and I preferred less strict way of learning the piano, and the upright pianos were always, for me, something like for people who really want to go classical. That's why I was thinking about this portable digital piano keyboard. I thought that a portable stage piano is something I need, and here is a difference that you will come up. Whenever you buy anything, you have some assumptions about your preferences, but then it changes while you experience stuff, while you learn and get new information. And boy, oh boy, I was so wrong. You know, if you watch the Venus Theory channel, you know the expression.
And boy, oh boy, have I got something weird.
I didn't consider Roland after my bad experiences when testing Roland FP10 back in the days. The keyboard action was just too heavy. I didn't understand why, but I quickly found out that with the LX-5, you can have a setting for a lighter keyboard touch. So I scrolled it down from the default 50 to 15 and started playing. And I was blown away. I had the connection with the instrument, with the amazing and realistic keyboard. The sound in my headphones was rich. It was totally a different experience, and the sound, spacious sound, you know, not muffled, not mono-like. It was great. While switching between patches, I started discovering amazing sounds, organs, strings, guitars, magic boxes. It was rich, and I realized that Roland LX-5 is probably something I was looking for, because it has this great feel of a classic digital upright piano, but it also had so many electronic settings that you will find in a classic portable digital stage piano. So, and the Polish ebony version really stood out. I was thinking like it will look great as an amazing piece of furniture in my living room. So after that, I tested Kawai Novus NV5S, and it was even better, but totally out of my price range. It was around $6,000. I was hooked, and knew Roland LX-5 is for me. So after some times I visited another store and played Yamaha CLP745, now it's probably the model 845, as well as Kawai CA701. With Yamaha, the keyboard feel was quite poor for me. I know Yamaha is everywhere, and it's a standard in schools, music schools and so on, but I was not a fan of glossy keys and the dynamic of the keyboard. And the sound, for me, very, subjectively, it was so average, muffled and mono-like. It felt very limited in terms of available patches and potential configurations. With Kawai 701, it was a bit different story, because I think it was the best competitor for Roland LX-5. It had a top-class keyboard feel. I would even say that in some terms it sounded better than Roland, but the problem with Kawai is it didn't have headphones amplification that Roland has, and the biggest issue is that the lower sounds were too bassy. That is what people also confirmed online. Also, I've heard from people in the store that Kawai had some issues with quality recently, and due to some probably changes in management. So that was probably one thing that really crossed the Kawai off my list. So let's jump to part 3, the decision and my thoughts after 5 months of playing on Roland LX-5. Why have I chosen this gear? For the following reasons. First of all, Roland uses its PH850 keyboard. It's a progressive hammer action keyboard, which combines wood on the sides, so for a natural feel and stability of the keys, with a durable plastic core. So if you want consistency, longevity and resistance to climate changes, this combination of the keys built is brilliant. And it's an action that gives you the feel of a real acoustic piano. The action is very good and extremely responsive. They have updated it when launching this new series, so LX-5, 6 and 9, insanely quick. It sounds fantastic on headphones, and probably this is one of the game changers for me, because what I said before, when compared to the previous Roland model HP704, they had improved headphones amplification and spatial effects. It really stands out when compared to other digital pianos on the market. So apart from the keyboard, the headphones amplification was something I was really into. A nice keys texture that are not glossy, it was part of the positive experience. Roland LX-5 uses supernatural sound engine, but also they implemented the new piano reality modeling engine. So modeling is a mathematical recreation of the physics of sounds. So thanks to that, you get more control and unlimited polyphony. It is different than Yamaha or Kawai. They use a different methods of creating sounds. They use sampling, which means they have recordings of real acoustic pianos and instruments, which are played back, depending on your playing dynamics. So what really Roland also had was like 300 sound patches available, while Yamaha had 38 and Kawai 96. You know, it's not about quantity over quality, but I like this whole range of sound patches you have in Roland, even though the last 100 are some funky sounds. But still, it offered great variety. And I really felt that this was kind of like a hybrid between a stage piano and an upright digital piano. A lot of options to design piano sounds were also a plus. So you could easily adjust the tonal character of sounds through elements like string tuning, temperament, resonance, and so on. For me, the piano has the best design on the market. You know, it's a stylish cabinet that became a central part of my living room, as I thought. The Roland app is amazing as well. It has the abilities to design piano sounds and quickly switch between patches and splits, layers, and so on. It connects seamlessly over Bluetooth. The app also allows you to quickly change sounds, which is a bit manual and, you know, not very intuitive on the display panel that you have. And the last point on my list of pros was the 10 years warranty, while Yamaha and Kawai offers 5 years. I know it's not a big deal, but still, if you're spending so much money, you want it to last, so you want to be secured. What about the cons? I think the biggest downsides of the instruments are the overall piano sound on Roland. It may sound a bit digital, maybe even thin, and maybe in some ways less realistic than with Kawai. It's also a matter of preferences, because when I went to the store after 5 months and played on Kawai and Yamaha, it had some upsides, but still I would choose Roland over Kawai. And I think the display should have like a black background so it doesn't stand out so much, but these are little tweaks and small things. The speakers are quite average, I would say, so if you're planning to play on them for like most of the time, please consider LX-6 or LX-9. I was not intending to play on speakers, mainly on headphones, so it wasn't a big issue for me. So after 5 months of playing, I say at the end of the day, I'm grateful I could buy such instrument. There are small differences between them, and so whenever you choose Kawai, Yamaha, Roland, you are in a good team, because all three are great instruments, and it's a matter of personal preferences, but also the things you pay attention to while choosing the piano, they really fade away later on. You just start playing and you forget about this many things you really thought that may be bugging you, but they don't. The biggest downside of buying Roland in Poland, in Europe, is that they are hardly available in stores. So you can easily buy and try Yamaha or Kawai, but with Roland, it's really like I found 2 shops where you can check it out. I want to pass my special thanks to Stu Harrison from Miriam Music. He had an amazing video about unboxing and playing Roland LX-5. It really helped me to make my decision. The same thanks I would like to pass to Robin from Hampari, sorry about the pronunciation, but you showcase really how to use different patches, especially splits and layering. Soon I will publish my next video with a proven framework on how to choose your next digital piano. So, what digital piano are you considering buying next? Let's share your story.